The ruins had a name once, whispered in the soft vowels of some long-forgotten tongue. Now it was just another corpse of a city, half digested by time and moss. Virelia's climate had returned in force after the bombardments, rains washing ash into rivers, creepers winding around the bones of hab complexes like veins reanimating a corpse. 6 figures moved through that green silence. The quiet was thick, rotting at the edges. It was the kind of silence that came after cities died, after war machines fell still, after the stars moved on. But not all things forget. 6 armored figures moved through the city's carcass, wreathed in shadow, metal, and malice. They wore the black and brass of the Black Legion, hulking remnants of a treachery older than the ruins themselves. Centuries had calcified their hatred. 10,000 years of it caked in each step, each breath drawn through corrupted filters. Veterans of 1,000 broken wars, bound only to power. They moved like a disease through the rubble. Their mission? Secure a segment of ruin to make way for something larger. Eyes open, growled Vortegas, the squad's self-appointed champion. His armor hissed and resealed as he clambered over a moss-coated bulkhead. This isn't a prize world. It's bait. Vortegas led, once of the word-bearers, now a heretic without scripture, a commander by necessity. He'd once served in the word-bearers, before Horus fell and the legions fractured. That faith had long since been burned out, replaced with a blasphemous clarity. Only results mattered now. Only war. His power fist whirred with low hums, each step heavy with threat. Tread quiet, he growled through his VOX. The jungle hears. To his right moved Varax the Bound, the icon of the Black Legion mounted high on his jump pack, rocking rhythmically with each powerful step. He held a chainsword across his chest like a censer. Its teeth were cleaned of blood, freshly oiled, ritually blessed. He walked with restraint, but within him, war seethed. They wait beneath, he said, not to anyone, just aloud. They hunger. Maltrax trudged behind them, meltagun braced into his shoulder, ready. The weapon hummed, tiny coolant valves whispering as they passed shattered stone. Once an iron warrior, always an engineer. I count 4 collapsed sublevels in this district, he said flatly. Potential tunnels run underneath. Dargaz slinked between shadows, twin knives flashing in and out of their sheaths. His bolt pistol hung loosely at its hip, more of a backup than a primary weapon. He chuckled, soft and sharp.
Tunnelers.
Voice sharp and dry, like a bone snapped too clean.
Don't insult the Tyranids. They're artists, not moles.
He'd fought them before. At least, he claimed to have. Every time the subject came up, his stories grew more baroque. He said he watched a lictor skin a captain alive and then wear the skin like a cape. No one believed him, but they let him talk. He was their scout, their knife. Goroon stomped impatient and loud. A chain axe rested on one shoulder, his bolt pistol gripped too tightly. He had no patience for silence.
Why do the Blood God's trials always involve waiting?
Because blood tastes better when you're starved, Varax answered, still watching the tree line. The Anointed walked in silence, slower than the rest, broader, heavier. Smoke hissed from his vents. The air around him shimmered. Something inside was watching, not him. The others had taken to calling him the Anointed, either out of awe or contempt. Vortegas tolerated him because the results were indisputable. Every battlefield the Anointed had walked across ended in ruin. But even Vortegas kept one eye on the kill switch protocol carved into his left vambrace. For now, the Anointed followed orders. For now. He held his bolt pistol loose, fingers twitching as though already rehearsing slaughter. A demon of corn stirred within. It wasn't time yet, but soon. The Volkus sector had burned once, long ago. Another segmentum consumed by war and left to rot. Virelia had been declared lifeless by Imperial decree, but Vortegas never trusted such paperwork. The city they'd entered was overgrown but intact. Massive hab towers leaning like drunk titans. Bridges snapped in half but arching gracefully, their dead rails now home to flowering vines. Flocks of phosphorescent birds flitted through broken windows. Maltrax eyed a rusted pict recorder dangling from a corroded pole.
Who do you think used to live here?
He asked.
People who died badly,
Said Dargaz.
Doesn't matter. Sometimes I like to think it does.
Goroon snorted.
Weakness. The past should be eaten.
Everything will be, said Varax. Unless we hold the approach. That was the mission. Simple. Secure the ruins to provide a staging ground for the wider warband. The Black Legion had plans for Volkus, long-term ones. There were signs of Necron activity in deeper vaults, and something ancient pulsed beneath the ground. But first, this flank needed holding, which meant clearing out the current residents. The jungle's stillness broke, not with sound, but with absence. No birds, no insects, no wind. Then the ground erupted. A Ravener struck from below, sending soil and concrete spewing into the air like a geyser. 6 meters of coiled horror, its limbs a blur of talons and hunger, surged into their mists. It smashed into Goroon, sending him crashing into a half-buried pillar. The thing rose in a coil, tail lashing, hunger screaming. Maltrax fired first, the meltagun's roar drowning everything. A blinding lance of superheated air turned several limbs to liquid. But it wasn't enough. Varax charged. Chainsword engaged mid-run, the icon shining above him. He drove the blade into the Ravener's flank, roaring a hymn to Khorne. For the war eternal! The beast thrashed. Varax held firm, the grip on his weapon and the Tyrannid both, as he rode the creature down in a controlled fall. A second Ravener struck from the ruins. Dargaz was already in motion. Low, fast, surgical. His knives stabbed upward into the soft points underneath the creature's armor, dancing between bone and chitin. Vortegas didn't wait. His power fist ignited as he surged forward, slamming the glowing gauntlet into the second Ravener's side. Armor cracked. Flesh popped. It screeched. Briefly. More movement. The ground buckled again. Dargaz snapped his head around.
3 more. Fast!
The Tyranids weren't a full-size invasion here, yet. This was a scouting force, a feral tendril sniffing at weakness. Goroon rose, laughing through his blood.
Now it's a fight!
The Anointed had not moved during the first assault. He stood still as a statue while Raveners closed in. His gauntlets twitching, his chest vibrating with a sound like bubbling meat. Varax turned sharply. Hold! Not yet! Maltrax's meltagun hissed and vented. It was overheated. Dargaz spun away from a charging Ravener, slashing at its eyes. Vortegas held ground, and the demon pressed harder. The demon stirred. The anointed eyes flickered crimson. Smoke hissed more from his vents. But there was timing to consider. Once released, there was no controlling what the anointed became. It was not a weapon. It was an event. Then the anointed opened. His chest split, not cleanly, but violently, ribs tearing outward like wings. Armor peeled like fruit. Horns erupted from his shoulders. Flesh became blades. In seconds, the anointed was no longer a man. Not entirely. He was something shaped by rage and possessed by purpose, his limbs distended, his face a half-mask of marine and demon both. Chains grew like vines. Claws burst through fingertips. The demon roared. its voice layered. Wrong. He leapt. The first Ravener didn't stand a chance. He hit it like a meteor, cracking its carapace with a single hammer blow of mutated flesh. The second tried to slither away, but he tore through it, roaring ancient words in a tongue that blistered the air. Blood sprayed in arcane shapes across the rubble. The remaining Tyranids hesitated. They don't feel fear, but they do adapt. The hive mind recognized something outside the script. Verax stood beneath his icon, watching. His voice was low, steady. See what comes of unrestrained power. He gripped the haft of his chainsword tighter, not in reverence, but in warning. Silence returned. The Raveners quieted, either torn apart or driven off, slinking into their tunnels. The jungle trembled with the sudden violence, and then grew still again. The winds returned. The birds did not. The Anointed knelt in the dust, steaming. The demonic form was retracting, unwilling, bones cracking into place. Flesh resealed, horns withdrew, eyes bled. I saw something in the red, he whispered. It's waiting for me. Vortegas turned. Then keep it waiting. We're not done here. Varak stepped forward. The hive mind is wounded here, but not blind. They'll adapt. We'll adapt faster, Vortegas replied. We'll feed the jungle to them, brick by brick, if we have to. He looked around at the ruins, now painted in gore and broken chitin. Secure the perimeter. We hold this ground until the vanguard arrives. The Volkus sector was waking up, and their war had only begun.